See value within your team, and of course there's lots of ways to play this, right? We were trying to show you a bit of a process where you pull opposing opinions, opposing viewpoints, get outside of the world of blind spots that we tend to be in, because when we come to a day like this, you know, I heard one team talking about this a little bit, is that we come with no preconceived notion, right? This was just an iron company, whatever, right? So you can be much more free. You're not defensive about your position as much. I did hear some defensiveness. You're not defensive about your position. But when you come in with your own company, you can become very defensive around your ideas, and it's hard to then hear other opposing viewpoints, right? So that's why it's important to send another team to really reflect and be the devil's advocate. And that's what the red team is. They are your own teammates playing the bad guy, right? Because we want to learn from the experience. We don't want blood, sweat, and tears in the organization in the future. We want to have resiliency built up in order to survive. So I'll be curious to hear some observations. Anybody have any feedback or observations about something you learned out of today? Anyone from this table?
We decided we don't want to sell irons.
You don't want to sell irons?
Yeah. Really?
People buy once and then...
That's right. Irons aren't a great business. Over here.
Well, I'll throw an observation. Was interested after the first move was made. This team, some of the members went, "Hey, that's not a bad idea." You know, looking at it from the perspective of the competition and the weaknesses over here, but we had to flip that back around to say, no, the job here is to push back and poke holes, because as a company, we're trying to learn about things that could go wrong with our approach. So it was interesting that immediately it was, hey, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
We should do that.
Thanks, Bill.
Group think right away.
Someone from this table? Any observations?
Well, I think, you know, as we came back together, you know, that's when the fluid talked. Like all of a sudden we had thought through really the aggressive or the offensive and defensive sides of the coin. Mm-hmm. But we knew where we were exposed on either side of that coin. So that was probably the most valuable part, is now we're sharing about, and that's when things really started to move, is when the guards were down.
Yes.
And we talked about the weaknesses and where we were exposed in our own strategy.
Yeah, and often I heard someone over on this table, I believe you were speaking about salespeople, sometimes have a different pulse on what's going on out there, and don't always share everything. Mm-hmm. So if you pulled them into an arena and you say, here's our plan, this is what we're thinking about doing, those sales types, because they're seeing what's going on and they've been out in the field, they're kind of like the recce team, right, in the armed forces, that they know what's happening and they can give you some good, honest feedback to say, if you do that, I think this is how the competition's going to react, or this is how so-and-so's going to think about that, or here's what our customers would say about that. So you can kind of play this that way as well. So there's lots of ways to play these kind of games where you're getting the information that you need to be able to present the best plan moving forward, because we don't want to lose anyone on the field, right?
Well, in that vein, how many times does marketing come up with a great idea and Salesforce goes, what a bunch of idiots? Like, because you know, this is my client base, I know they're not going to go for that, that's hokey, that's this, that's that. And without that conversation, if you release and the salespeople have to go sell it, it's likely self-fulfilling.
And it allows for a good competitive environment without people really getting defensive and like getting entrenched, right? Because they know it's a game. And at the end of the game, when your whole table comes together and you now are providing table-wide observations, you recognize, oh, I know I was getting really aggressive with you. My apologies, but you know, we all learned something from it. So it provides that friendly environment of attack and counterattack without taking it personally. Because it's just an idea. It's something that you've come up with as an idea. And we get very defensive around our ideas.
Josh, did you still take it personally, buddy?
Oh man, I'm crying over this.
I know, but
Here's my question at the end always. Who won?
blue, of course.
You all win because you all learned so much more, and now you can protect your teams as you go forward. You can have the best plan into whatever you're trying to do, right? The classic is, what's coming up in October?
An election.
An election. How many of you have part of your team focused in on how that election impacts your company? Okay, so a member or a few members focused in on what's going to happen, so that you can sit down and you can say, oh, we got that election coming up. If the current government stays in power, how does that impact our plans going into the fall? And if it's a change in government, how does that impact our plans? And you can war game that. You can actually war game your plans against a government change. Whether it was the provincial government change or the federal government change, there's so many different ways. You can war game your marketing strategy. You can war game your expansion into the US. You know, you can war game all these things. So all it does is it provides a friendly environment in order to get resiliency within the team, to be able to pivot and react when things don't go right.
This might be a little bit of a, I don't know, half-baked question, but is there a way to set a war game up like this where it's not business versus business?
Oh, for sure.
So how would you do that? Like if your main threat is not another business?
Yeah, so you tell the red team to play a part. So what is that part? They can play the government, they can play legal, right? That sometimes can be done, so you can have them play legal. In fact, you can bring in legal people to play that part, and you then throw your idea of your plan against legal and see how it bounces and counteracts back and forth, so that you have the best plan to go into that sphere, right? So there's lots of different ways that you can play this. It's really about what is my action I want to take, having a subject matter expert on the other side turn to you and say, well, if you do that, this is what's going to happen. And then you can keep modifying it, and it's in the observation phase where the ground truth happens, and then yes, it's worth taking Hill 94, or no, it is not, right? And yes, it is worth going down and doing this litigation, or no, it is not, right? So it's playing those things, and you've got subject matter experts that are exclusively focused on that. So your blind spots and your assumptions and the things that we grow up with don't creep into your plan. Yeah. Fun?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Over to you, Jeff. I guess Jeff's gonna wrap us up today.
All right.
Oh, and by the way, if you want to learn more about this subject, there's some books out there, some fairly good books out there. I think Deloitte has a pretty good one. Deloitte does Wargaming. It takes about, if the teams are well prepared and you have good subject matter experts on both sides of it, the game takes about a forenoon. So it takes about a half a day to sit down and really war game it out and come up with great ideas that then get inputted into your plan. So it doesn't take a lot of time. We try to do it in an hour. That's a little aggressive because I can't walk you through like we would have done a practice round and then go to it. Whereas today we kind of just threw you at it and had facilitators kind of helping you along the journey. So awesome. Thank you, Jeff. Nicole's just coming around and annual feedback.
Thanks, Christine.
So I just want to go through these feedback forms with everybody at the before we wrap up here. So the feedback forms are really important for us because we want to first of all have some intel on what you thought about the workshop and also rate it for its relevancy. The other thing I'll share with you is the genesis of our business is really about potential. And for the last 20 years, we've just seen all kinds of phenomenal leaders with really good businesses continue to express sort of a paradoxical theme that while they were pretty excited about their business and happy with what they had built, also this sense of frustration that it could be or should be so much better. And I think one of the things that we found is, sure, it's execution related, but the other thing that we find commonplace is the elements related to working on your business tend to reside in that quadrant of time management that are really, really important, but non-urgent. And so we tend to spend a lot of our time in the important, urgent, sometimes in the unimportant and urgent. And so what we try to do here is make it really, really easy for you to take steps to just keep progressing your business one little bit at a time. And over a long period of time, we find that that's what can lead to transformational breakthroughs in your business results, whatever your long-term goal and vision might be.
So some of the things that we want to make available to you today, the first one is if you'd like to get your leadership team together for a half-day workshop to actually assess your business execution capabilities, there is a box there that you can check, and we'll do that complimentary with your executive team. The second thing that's not on here that occurred to me should have been on here. We do a half-day wargaming workshop for companies. And you can bring anywhere from 4 to 12 people, and we'll do what we did here today, but way more on a way more comprehensive level. And we will actually strategize a real scenario for your business. So you're going to actually be able to prepare and then come in and war game something that you're contemplating doing with your business. It's a $5,500 workshop, but anyone that's here today, we're going to make that available to you at $2,950. So if you want to do that workshop, just write a note on the bottom of your feedback form, and we'll reach out and give you more information if you want to take advantage of that. And then the last offer I want to make available to you is 4 years ago we started a conference in Banff with 35 business owners. And at that point, it was just an informal gathering with a thought leader named John Spence. And 4 years later, it's turned into this unbelievable gathering where it sells out with 300 business owners in Kananaskis. And it's called the Business Execution Summit. And just by show of hands, who's already registered for the Business Execution Summit for next year? So there's a smattering of folks. And who's been to the conference before? So lots of people have been. Wow, well, that's way more than I thought, actually. So lots of people have been there. And so it typically sells out by early October. We're not going on sale until September. But for those of you that haven't had any exposure to it, I want to show you a quick video and give you a chance to sign up for it for a bit of a discount today.
Well, the vision of BEX was really to create an environment where open-minded, ambitious leaders who are really trying to grow exceptional organizations could come together to talk about the future, to talk about ideas, to talk about the things that they're not good at, to talk about the successes that they're having, and to really exchange those raw, vulnerable, real ideas in the hopes that we can do something about that we can take these ideas back to our businesses and implement them.
It's exceptional. Yeah, it's exceptional for a lot of reasons. One, because this is our community, right? And this is where our business takes place, in our community, in our backyard. And I come back because of the quality of what's here.
Well, for me, the BEX Summit is a chance to be in the mountains, to enjoy a spectacular environment, to think about my business, to learn a little bit more about probably myself, our leadership team, for our leadership team to be together. People get excited, inspired, they come up with new ideas that can disrupt their own business or grow their business or create a new product line that they don't have. Our team's going to go back and it'll just be an exponential impact on the rest of our organization because it took 2 days to challenge themselves and learn.
The Conway Lodging Group has absolutely transformed the environment. We couldn't ask for a more secluded, breathtaking, picturesque backdrop. This is a venue unlike any other.
I need a break sometimes to recharge myself and spend a little more time looking on the business and less in the business.
I've been to a results event before when it was smaller and more intimate. What's I've found really interesting is that our results community feel has really transcended the size, so that I have still had tons of really intimate conversations. So I can leapfrog across my industry potentially with ideas I call from completely different points of view.
Again, so we just want to make it easy for you to take a next step to continue to grow your business. So if that's something that you want to attend, we're going to go on sale in September. The price of the conference is going to be $1,500, but if you want to register early, we're making that available for $1,195. And if you've never been there and you want to know what it's like, just ask anybody in the room. There's a lot of people that have exposure with it. So that's all we got for you today, and until the next time, I wish everybody well and keep fighting out there. We know nothing's easy in this political or in this economic environment, but hopefully easier days on the way. So thanks everybody for being here today.
Thanks, Jeff.
On stage, coffee, if anyone has any questions. You can just be back one.
We totally won. Red team. High fives up top. We celebrate. We celebrate. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
There's a participation.
That was good.
Yeah, that's fun.
Thanks, Kendall.
Yeah, you bet. Good to see you again.
You too.